Of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please have all cell phones silenced during the meeting. I'd look for approval of the agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Item 5, public appearances and citizens' comments. No debate will occur with the board on items introduced by citizens. Items will not be acted upon at this meeting, but will be referred to the proper staff or committee if action is required. And please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Anyone want to speak? Okay. Item 6, approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I just have a point of information. On 6E, the amendment for the car show event date to October 21st, the Public Works Public Safety Committee had asked the Chamber to consider changing the closure of Fifth Avenue from Railroad Street to 2nd Street versus Railroad Street to 3rd, which is what they typically done. They are okay with that change from 2nd to Railroad Street, so I just wanted everyone to know that that Chamber's agreed to that change.
Okay.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 7, new board business. Item A, discussion, draft resolution regarding library project funding. Right?
Thank you. So I'm, per the board's direction at a previous meeting, I'm working on a draft of the new funding resolution for the library project now that we've rescinded the previous ones. Just as I'm writing this, I wanted to check in with the board and get any direction or feedback that you might have on things you wanted included in that, so I can make sure I capture it for the draft that I bring back to you likely at our next meeting. Just wanted to check in with the board to see if you had any direction on items that you wanted added, milestones, conditions, whatever, if you had any initial thoughts as I'm putting that together.
It doesn't seem to me that it would be easy to put any restrictions on it, since it's gonna be dependent on fundraising. So,
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I think
Yeah.
it's when there's a location and when there's a plan and ready to move forward. I wondered, for discussion purposes, what people thought about saying, changing the language a little bit. I would like it to say at least $1 million rather than up to $1 million.
What's your reasoning for that?
Because of with the passing, no, certainly they've always planned on the $1 million. Up to, it just sounds a little fuzzy on that to me. And with the passing of time and things gotten more expensive, the discussion could happen at the board level that it could go up rather than down.
Yeah.
So I would like, it doesn't say a particular amount, it just says at least.
Yeah.
So,
Someone help me understand, what's the timeline for distribution of the funds? Will we be giving the library board up to, as it currently is, understood, $1 million at the start of the project or upon completion of the project?
Well, I think that's really, that's a question that hadn't been really addressed in prior discussions with prior resolutions, and that's one of the things that I wanted some feedback from the board on is, we've had a number of discussions with the library about, this $1 million being more of a pledge, but the money wouldn't actually be borrowed till, there was construction that was ready to happen. We'd have the bids back from the contractors and know the true cost of the project, and we would borrow the money a little bit closer to when they're actually going to be starting construction, so that we're not putting a borrow out there and kind of sitting on it, for a couple months or a year until construction actually happens. So that's one of the things that I would like to get some direction from the board on is what is the trigger by which we actually put the borrow out there in the market for $1 million, for whatever that number is.
And the community voted on this, right?
yes.
2 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, that part, yeah, it's more about the timing of when we physically
Right.
do the financial transaction.
Right.
Right.
What was the verbiage that the community voted on? Was it at least or up to?
Up. I believe
We
it's-
have
It
to
just
probably go
said $1
back.
million.
It's just
Yeah.
$7 million.
Yeah,
That's what I remember.
I think so.
I don't know, I don't have anything against saying at least, but I think we should probably verify that we're not contradicting what was voted on. Because if it's up to, that doesn't tie us to exactly one, but it ties us to up to that point.
Yeah, I think Petra's point is well taken.
Mhm.
We were pretty much agreed on $1 million.
Yeah, but we can, when I bring this back, I will make sure that we have a copy of that referendum language included in the packet so we can compare against that.
And to you, Sean, they gotta have the money when they start the project.
Okay.
I mean, we can't wait till the project is done and give them $1 million, because they're gonna have bills coming in, so they're gonna need that money to pay as they
Yeah.
go.
And
That was-
released as needed
Yeah.
for construction, I think is what we've talked about.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I just didn't, I wasn't clear on that.
Yeah.
So, do we need some change in this wording?
Right.
What you're reckoning, or?
But I don't think,
Do-
I don't know that you need any change this evening. I mean, what I can do is, if the board is okay with this, I would put together a draft, I would include the at least $1 million language, and then the board can discuss it further, you know, at that time when the draft resolution comes before you, and
Yeah.
make any other tweaks or modifications that you so choose.
And then we'll have to approve that new wording.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah,
So-
you would have to sign off on the new
I
resolution.
wanted people to have a chance to look at that.
Yep.
I like having that happen. But, do you need more as far as, like you said, the trigger for when to borrow? And
Yeah, no,
besides having, having a site and land?
No, I think that's probably sufficient. I mean, I'll put something together, and like I said, you guys can make modifications as you so fit. It'll give you something to react to.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's what I need for now, and like I said, when I've got something ready for the board to take a look at, we'll put it back on the agenda for formal review.
Any more discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none, we'll go down to B. Discussion, consideration, formation of appointments of ad hoc facilities committee. I know that 3 people have stepped forward and said they'd like to serve on that committee, one being Sean, one being Petra, and one being Peg. Is 3 gonna be sufficient?
Have we come up with a composition for this ad hoc committee? I know we discussed it last time, but.
Yeah, my recollection from the last meeting was that the board wanted to appoint the 3 or however many village board members first, have that group of people meet, and then decide how they wanted to kind of compose the committee themselves, meeting how many members from the library board they'd like to invite, if they'd like to invite anybody from the public to participate. That was my recollection from our last
In
discussion.
other words, we haven't come up with
Right.
a distinct composition. for
No.
this.
I recall our conversation at our last meeting being 3 village board members, including one, which would be Roger. So it sounds to me like there are 4 people that are being considered, correct?
I'd like to serve as an alternate, unless you prefer me to be on it, but
At
with
the
all the
last
meetings
meeting,
I got in.
No, at the last meeting, I just understood that you wanted to chair it. Is that not true?
I don't think we mentioned anything about me chairing it,
No,
but,
I thought that you had.
no. But
You did
because
say
Peg-
if I was going to chair
Oh.
it, and then
That's
something.
how I put it.
remember
But-
that, yeah.
Yeah.
Peggy's gonna be gone, and we don't know exactly for how long, so,
Um,
if you wanna get this ad hoc committee up and running,
Yeah, I think we can't fool around with it for,
Right, I mean, if,
I'll serve on it then to get it rolling.
Is the concern with Peg that she won't have adequate time to serve?
I don't think
No,
it's-
no,
it's just
no,
gone.
she's out visiting her grandchildren right now, and we don't know when she's coming back. Like I said, if we wanna get this thing up and going, if she's out there, she might be out there a month, I don't know.
Again, maybe.
Yeah.
So let's just, the 3 of us,
Well,
get started.
I've actually had a little bit of a change in my
Okay.
situation.
Oh, okay.
I've taken a part-time job that might impact my ability to serve in the evenings, so
Okay.
I should probably rescind my interest or not
Would you be available during the day?
I think it would depend, you know, it's gonna be a week by week situation, because I'm going into the hospitality business.
Okay. Because I don't know, Pedro could meet during the day, and Peggy could probably meet during, I mean, for me, it would be better have a day meeting instead of a night meeting.
Okay, that would be nice.
I think just because of the uncertainty of my availability, I should probably withdraw my interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now what are we gonna do?
No, yeah, Irene's, are you interested?
Well, I'm not
so-
particularly,
Go
but you
ahead.
know, somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
I
have a
can
lot of
certainly offer
good-
to serve, but I just don't know.
Mm.
My availability is gonna be week to week,
Yeah, that's hard.
and I don't wanna be the one that's holding up having meetings.
Do we know that Peg's presently gone?
Right now, she's gone, yes,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I didn't get the impression it was gonna be for a long period of
I'll tell
time.
you what, I will serve.
Do you wanna be an alternate?
The alternate.
Okay,
And I'll serve, you know, in Peg's absence, but I would like to not be a permanent.
okay.
So then you're a permanent.
Yeah, the permanent,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And daytime meetings are fine.
Yeah, prefer daytime than if between, Peg
Yeah.
should, hopefully can work it into her schedule or you, so we can have daytime meetings.
I'd also
So-
like to just add that I think that that's a really nice ad hoc committee, because all of you are so well versed in the history of the project, so I think that'll be good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we wanna
We
set
do
up?
have a lot of history. So, do you want to talk after this
Well,
meeting
or
to
we-
set up?
do you wanna set up a time right now, or do you wanna talk afterwards? Or should we,
I mean, how about I do this? How about I send the,
Peg an email?
well, I'll send the four of you an email to check calendars for when you could do a meeting in the next, week or two.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
that
right,
sounds good, yeah, okay,
we'll get started.
perfect.
All right.
Any more discussion on that item?
We would need a motion to that effect to
Oh.
establish at least the village board members for now.
Okay, I need a motion
What's the motion? What do you
to
need?
appoint Petra, Peggy, myself, and Barb as an alternative to the ad hoc committee.
So move.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Take it as. Aye.
Okay. Discussion, consideration, approval of one-year renewal assessment services contract. Brian?
Thank you. So we presently have contracted service with Gardner Appraisals for our assessment services, and our contract is coming up at the beginning of, end of November?
Yep.
And so the Finance Personnel Committee had asked staff to reach out to Gardner and get a proposal from them for a one-year extension. And we just had a discussion at the meeting just prior to this about kind of what the process could be. The thought is we do a one-year extension with Gardner to cover us through 2019, with the understanding that then in the summer of 2019, we put together an RFP to send out for assessment services broadly, so we can get a sense of what's out there in the market, and maybe we decide at that time to make a change or not in the assessment services. So that's kind of where the committee landed on things, and we wanted to bring this to the full board for your thoughts and discussion.
I've heard people say, oh, there are companies out there and they're cheaper, and, so I think that's maybe a good option for us. It gives us time to, get our act together, and there's a lot of other things on the table right now.
Well, after you have somebody for a long period of time, pretty soon they think that
Well, yes.
we're gonna keep going down that road, and I think there's times you need to kind of shake them up a little bit
Yeah.
and
Like
see what else is
shopping for
out
car
there.
insurance.
It's,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah,
I think it sounds like a good plan. I mean, we have the 2019 assessments coming up.
yeah,
Why put ourselves in a pickle now?
yeah.
But,
Yeah, it's a pretty minor
yeah.
budgetary item, having some knowledge of this field.
Yeah.
I think it should be floated out there,
Mhm.
bid out, whatever,
Yeah.
in here, so From my experience, there've been some disappointment in lack of cooperation. I've asked questions of these people from, not from my own personal standpoint, but from a board member standpoint. So I think Roger's point is well made, that sometimes a shakeup is in
Yeah.
order.
Brian did mention, the contract went up $400. And you read in your packet, the reasoning for that is the law changes that increase the work bit.
Yeah, that's sort of
Gray area.
very great.
Do we need a motion on that yet?
Yes. Oh, not yet.
No,
We will.
okay. I mean, any more
need-
discussion? Sean, were you going to say something?
I was just gonna make a motion.
Okay, go ahead.
I would move that we approve a one-year renewal of the assessment services contract.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item D, discussion consideration, placement of signage at Village Hall and Village Park.
Thank you. So this item kind of got brought to my attention when we were in the process of replacing the cow statue that's in front of Village Park. And just both from my own observations and some feedback I received from some folks in the public, kind of noticed that the existing signage that we have out in front of Village Hall and Village Park is starting to look a little weathered and worn. And Dove Design, which is the company that did the repaint of the cow, had mentioned that he'd be willing and happy to put together a cost proposal for redoing both of these signs, and so that's what's included in your packet. What he would be recommending is removing both signs completely and redoing them. Presently, the way that they're designed is some type of foam type material, and so if you tried to scrape the existing paint off and repaint it, you could do it, but it's likely there would be some damage to that foam material, so he wasn't quite sure how long that type of thing would last. So his suggestion was to do a full new sign for both of them, kind of a wood sign that's 3D, kind of sculpted. I believe he did the new sign over at Vets Park not too long ago that has that same type of design. So he provided a couple of different kind of facades for those signs, and the Parks Committee talked about this at the last meeting. They were leaning towards the Galeras Canton sign option with the more, what you call this, but the plain font rather than the script font, just because for ease of readability. And I think the total cost for Dove Design to do both signs was, what did I say here, $2,350. So about $1,200 for the Village Park sign and about $1,000 for the Village Hall sign if we were to do both. So
There is money available.
there is money available in the building maintenance fee or fund for us to do that.
So did you say he's gonna make these out of wood this time and not foam?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Does anybody know if those prices are in line?
For other work that he's done and other signage that we've had done in town, yeah, it's pretty much the same. The Hosley Pond Park sign that they did, that was about $1,600 for that one. And the Vets Park sign, Lynn, I don't recall what that dollar amount was.
I want to say it was right around $1,200.
Right.
They paid two $600 payments.
Yeah, so I mean, this doesn't seem out of line with what we've seen in the last couple of years for signage that we've done.
I think maybe you mean with other sign
Yeah.
makers.
Yeah.
I mean, it has,
That I don't know, there isn't a lot of people that have done signage locally that I'm aware of.
right, I don't know.
Who's doing this?
Could be Dove Design if we decide to go with
They're
them.
Monticello.
Yeah.
They did the cow at the park,
Mm.
for the art gallery.
Would this be something we want to shop around?
Could, I mean, by all means.
I have a couple of questions about the Village Hall sign.
Mm-hmm.
Is it redundant for us to have Village Hall on the sign twice? Because it says Village Hall and then Library,
Oh.
Village Hall, Police Department.
I think you answered your own question.
Thought that was
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think
Yeah, I
we need
had
to
noticed
list,
that.
I don't think we need to list Village Hall in the list of offices
We
that
should
are
probably
there.
put administrative offices. then.
Right.
Yeah.
Something.
Or maybe like admin offices to keep it short and
Yeah.
to fit the
Or
space.
just admin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I also wanted to ask about Village Park. Should we be thinking about the possibility of dedicating the park somehow, some way? Is there a worthy cause or person that we could potentially name the park for? And then, as we're replacing the sign, then that would be applicable.
Why do you ask?
I'm just thinking, like, is there anybody or any historically relevant person that we might want to consider doing that for?
We've got a couple of dedications. The park itself is not named, but there is the Lions have donated, the gazebo and the signage around the gazebo, and then there is the Richard Schmid tree.
Yeah.
But that's the only, is there any other?
Irwin Sweeble tree. After Irwin passed away, we put a tree down there with
But
his,
those are the only things that are
Past
named.
president.
yeah, past presidents.
But there's one for that Rock Kendrick
Yeah.
is down there as well.
And we have not much knowledge of who or what that is about, right?
His family
Yeah.
donated that to
But you're
him.
talking about those individuals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Right.
And why do you ask?
I don't have anybody specific in mind if that's what you're getting at. I don't know why, but there's like a tone with your question. I just thought it
Oh, I'm
might be
sorry.
something to consider.
Let me rephrase that. Why do you ask, Sean?
Because if we're paying to redo a sign and it was something that we might
If
want to
there is-
consider,
You know, I don't know.
I thought it would be worth raising the question.
That's
The
a very,
Lions thing was
uh,
a good point, but then the Tel Guild had put quite a lot of money into various projects around the pool
Sure,
over
yeah.
the years. So.
That's a really dangerous area.
Yeah, I think
You
so. I
know,
don't-
people say,
there's
well,
really
why
been
didn't you
nobody
name
who's
it?
been
Yeah.
a real,
Been a real,
support and worker and whatever
I
that
think if you were
know.
talking about naming rights, if somebody wanted to kick in $200,000 to
Yeah.
have it named the
Yeah.
Shondell Community
Well, let
Park,
me get my checkbook.
If we can-
I could see that.
No, I just thought it was
Yeah.
worth asking if we're
Yeah,
replacing
well,
the
it's a good
signage.
No,
Yeah.
there hasn't been a Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. Park
Mhm.
that I know of in town.
I wonder if it might be worth asking the question if anybody would like to name the park by making a donation of some sorts.
There again, it's still a very, it's a community park. And it's
Okay.
a small community.
You know, but
Um,
people pay to put their names on things all the time.
They do, and I can tell you from a historical standpoint that when certain people paid or requested to pay, put their names on things, it wasn't taken very well in the community. If somebody wanted to put something on Village Hall, there were a certain amount of people and pay for it.
Sure.
A certain amount of people that said, that's really out of
Yeah.
line. Going back farther, somebody said they would pay for the swimming pool that was named after them. The community was rather against that.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Did we have that with
so-
Southside Park?
I just see that opening up
With
Did you?
Jason-
we're not that
with
desperate yet, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
And I totally
Yeah.
respect the historical knowledge of the situation. I just thought it was worth asking the question if we're replacing signage.
Yeah, I just,
Well, and, right, Lynn makes a good point, the Veterans Park actually was J.C.'s park. They made the park, and they
Yeah.
did the work, the village bought some of the land, and some was donated by a woman who lived out that way, but, and when it got changed, I think that can bring
And
up
until the old donated
bad
tennis courts.
feelings.
Sure.
William Tell.
Tell Guild donated the tennis courts, right, and they didn't get their name, so it can really rile up some.
Well,
I've
and
never
they
been
built the
much
first
for-
bathhouse too.
for wanting
William
to do
Tell.
that. The first one, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was remembering.
Well, it sounds like it might be too controversial to explore.
I think so.
At least now.
yeah, I think we've got to keep it as neutral as we can. I
Someone
think.
else too.
But did I hear that the board would like me to seek other cost options or cost estimates on this?
Well, I mean, if we're gonna shop around the assessment contract, is it worth shopping around a $1,200 or $1,600 sign?
That's what I'm wondering.
I
Not to
don't-
me.
I don't think you're gonna,
I think they do.
$100 either way, or $200 might be,
Yeah, I only brought
Difference.
it up because I have no idea
yeah.
Yeah.
what signs cost.
I think it's reasonable.
There's a guarantee with this, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy
he's
right
And they've done-
down the road, he can fix it if it isn't right.
Very
I'm
responsible.
pretty sure he's,
And they've done a lot of signage around the area. I mean, they've been in business for quite a few years. And
Right.
Do a
I've
real
always
nice
seen them,
job.
everything looks very
Yeah.
well
and it seems to be,
designed.
I'm more concerned about that too.
Yeah.
Do you need a motion?
Yeah,
Yes.
I would need a two-part motion. So one would be to authorize staff to work with Dove Design to execute the signage project, and then the second would be the design. So just clarifying that, for example, you want the Canton sign design with the clear or clean font or whatever.
Yeah, I guess we haven't really talked about the Village Park sign. Does anybody have a strong feeling one way or the other about those designs?
Yeah, really tough.
We
But
did,
not that,
That one?
yeah, but not
we did
the
want the plainer,
font.
Right.
I don't like it.
Oh, the
plainer
same font.
lettering,
Oh,
again, the same lettering
As the hall
as the
sign?
hall,
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
Village Hall.
Okay.
I think it's a little cleaner, they're right across the street.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to direct staff to pursue work with Dove Designs to make design changes to the Village Hall sign with the Canton Glares design in the verbiage, changing Village Hall to admin offices, and to also move forward in working with Dove Designs on the Village Park sign with Will and Tell design and the font being switched to the same font that's on the Village Hall offices sign.
Second that.
Any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Administrators report.
Sure, just to kind of follow up from our meeting last time, just you had asked if there was any changes to the budget from committee meetings that we had last week. Both Parks and Public Works, Public Safety had met. Parks Committee had looked at the budget after the workshop on the 2nd. There were no modifications to the Park and Rec budget. And similarly, the Public Works, Public Safety Committee didn't have any changes as well. Staff is still continuing to work on the final version of the budget, which we'll present to you on November 20th. The one change since our meeting on the 2nd is we did receive our state highway aid number, and that went down about $6,000 from last year. The state highway aid is kind of on a 6-year average, so if you have a year in which you don't do a road project, it does impact your numbers a little bit. And there was, what was it, 2016? We didn't do a road project in 2016, so you know, we'll be dinged on that for a little bit. But since we're doing a project this year, we've got stuff lined up for next year. Potentially, that number will kind of even itself out. That being said, we have been able to absorb those reductions in state aid. So right now, we're about $750 over our levy limit, and we've made some tweaks to that to get us underneath our number. And we do have a little bit of play in that our interest number is coming in year to date a little bit higher than we were anticipating. So, you know, all things being said, we feel pretty comfortable that we'll, you know, get to November 20th with, you know, all the things that we previously discussed on October 2nd included in that budget. So, just want to give you that update. And my hope is, as part of that package on the 20th, that we'll have the final complete budget document with all the images and graphs and photos and all that stuff. I'm going to try between now and then, but if not, then you'll get it in December before the end of the year.
So you
Yeah.
just- You just want to do this as an update, Brian? You got discussion?
Oh, yeah, just, that was just what was asked to be put on the agenda from the October 2nd meeting. So.
So this was just a discussion item?
Yep.
Or update, okay.
Yeah, 'cause
Any
we
other-
didn't make recommend
Right.
changes.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Could you give us a brief update on the various street projects? Because I'm tired of people coming up to me.
Yeah.
What the hell are they gonna do?
Yeah, so, you know, weather being the fun that it has been this summer and fall, we have been making good progress on First Street. They've done all the milling, and they did, last week they did the scrape and repave of the 2 parking aisles. That's been done. They had a little bit of a delay with that, with the weather early part of last week, but those are now both paved and it's setting. County came in and started milling, I think it was Monday or first thing on Tuesday, today. So they did that, and then scraped First Street, they're gonna be paving that tomorrow. That should be done by Friday, and that, the asphalt, once it's set, to, be cured and whatnot, so you can drive on it. So I suspect First Street will be back open, at some point on Friday. They also, county came in today to do the milling for Third Street and Fifth Street.
And they did.
And they did. And so
Passed
they're,
it out.
yeah, and then they're gonna be doing paving, hopefully tomorrow. We did find a real soft spot at the intersection of Third and Ninth. So we might have to do some extra digging there to get down to the hard base and then fill it back up with some base material. Just because I don't want to pave over the soft spot now and then have it get a sinkhole or fail, in a year or so. Do it right now that we have the street open. I know that they were trying to wrap up, I think before 7, they were finishing whatever stretch they run on Third, but they should be doing the paving part tomorrow through the rest of this week.
One real minor item, you had said something about they were gonna put some permanent anchor areas on First Street. I didn't see those.
Yeah, that's a good question, thank you. We got the spec back from the county on what they wanted to basically buy for us for that. And after talking with the Public Works Director, we both agreed that it over-engineered the solution for what we needed. And by that, I mean the anchor itself was like 2 feet and had a number of things that came out. And the base that you would have had to clear in either the street or in the brick terrace area to plant 14 of these on either side would mean that that whole brick area would get really messed up. So Joe was able to work with New Glarus Welding on finding another solution that's like a third or maybe even a fourth of the cost of what the county was going to charge us. And that is something we can get into the different spots along the brick terrace with a cap. So that is something we're going to hold over till the spring and then put that in the spring once we're not under a time crunch with weather and whatnot. So,
Awesome. It looks nice.
Yeah, that's gonna be nice.
I did not realize what rough shape that
Yeah.
street was in.
Yep.
The paving was bad, it was all a mess.
Yeah, and actually,
It
Joe,
does get a lot of use.
yeah, Joe was mentioning there was a stretch on the, I can't remember if it was the north or south drive aisle on First that it was really bad. And it really compacted, so the timing for us to do this was perfect. So, get it set for another 10 years. I mean, I guess this would be a good question. Have you received any informal feedback from people? I'm just curious, like,
Yeah, people, what the hell are they? I thought this was gonna be done. And, and I couldn't remember the timeline you gave us, and obviously there was some weather delays.
Yeah.
Well,
Are you talking about First Street?
I think
First Street, well,
Fifth
there were a
Street.
couple of questions about Fifth because it was no parking from
Yeah.
14th until the 22nd, well, it said until paved the 22nd, so, and I know, because I drive that corner every day, how bad that is,
Yeah.
and Barb knows. So I just assumed it was either a county or a weather delay, but since they showed up today, it's all good.
Yep, yeah, like I said, I think once they get the asphalt down, it'll be,
I just
It'll
had
be
one
quick.
tourist ask me if we were having a festival or something.
Yeah, road
No,
construction.
I'm fixing the
Until
street.
January.
yeah.
January, we're done till January.
Okay, well, that's good, I appreciate that, so.
Anything else? No further business, we are adjourned.